Welcome everybody to our 8th presentation.
Tokuchingamidza mese kupresentation yedu yechi8.
Let's open with a word of prayer.
Ngatifu
Holy God, we thank you for your watch care over us. As we try to understand our relationship to our environment, to the food that we eat, and more importantly, our relationship towards you. Bless us in Jesus' name. Amen. We've been trying to understand our relationship to food. The question that we've been trying to address is whether or not an individual person's diet, their choice of food, should be a standard or an example for others to follow. If it is, why? If it isn't, why? And if you shouldn't copy somebody, what is the correct diet that we should be following? And the last part, have my views on diet changed compared to some of the older presentations that I have done in the past? So if we're going to try to understand the subject of diet, what I wanted to discuss amongst ourselves was why diet is such a central feature around our faith, our religious experience. As we have tried to understand that question, the question that I have posed, one of the points that seemed important to me which I think came as a surprise to at least some people, that this relationship to food that we have isn't really a biblical concept. And that seemed to trouble people. So I want to say that the diet question is not a biblical one. If it's not a biblical issue, what is it? So I'm suggesting that diet is an Adventist question. It really is purely an Adventist phenomena because Christians really don't have this relationship with food that we have. I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, have been negatively affected in your relationships because of this diet question. The two main problems that Adventists have is Sabbath and diet. If we stuck to the biblical plan, which is given on the board, we had it as 1, 2, and 3, 3 steps. We would not have an issue or a problem in our relationship to others. And it would make our lives, our relationships much easier. So the question is, why are we doing this? And if you go back to the 19th century, there are two things that are happening. What are the two things that are happening in the 19th century? Niska?
I think it's those that you were saying. Learning about Sabbath and learning about temperance.
We're in the 19th century. And I'm saying there are two phenomena, two things that are coming together. And Deniska said Sabbath and temperance. Anyone else? Tamina?
Slavery was done away with.
Can online translators hear that or they don't understand that? They can't hear you.
Slavery was done away with.
Slavery was abolished. Anyone else? Did you have a comment? Monica said the same as Tamina. Carol?
Sabbath and health reform.
Same as Deniska. No? So Deniska said Sabbath and temperance, and you said Sabbath and health reform. I'm sure if I asked Deniska what temperance is, she'll say health reform. Yes? So I think they're the same. So Esther said, what am I talking about? She wants to know what the things are. There are two movements. What are they? Who said something? In German, please. So they
Suffragettes.
no. I thought we're doing a study on food. And I heard suffragettes and slavery. There's 100 things going on in the 19th century. And then someone's going to tell me voting or something. Which they already have. It's a diet study.
Australia.
There's advances
No.
in.
Emma.
Sorry.
No.
There are advances in health work and medicine. There's an awareness of health issues and natural remedy institutes. How do I put it?
So is that 2 or 1? Okay. There are two phenomena that are happening. The 19th century begins when? When we say 19th century, it's the numbers are 18s. So when does the 19th century begin? And it's not 1901, 1801. Help us, Esther. 1798. The time of the end. Are we okay with that? What's the first movement? Adventism. Comes in various dispensations or phases. Starts with the Millerites, if you like. So that's number one. And the second one is what Deniska and Carol gave us. And Emma clarified. It's the temperance movement. It's not health per se, it's a movement. Adventism is what kind of a movement? Some have that.
Religious.
So we have a religious movement. If you don't know, you can guess. Connected to a no. She said a temperance movement. She said a temperance movement. That's no. What do I put here next underneath?
Expecting of the second coming.
Temperance people aren't expecting the second advent. Paula said secular movement. We have a religious movement and a secular movement which are moving forward independent of one another. What does that sound like? Please don't shout out answers. If you want to say something, put your hand up unless I call you. Esther? German, please. Oh, no, not German. What does she need to do now?
Church and state.
What's my question? What does it sound like? Not church and state. Just one word answers.
Perfect.
Counterfeit? No.
External and internal.
Externé a vnútorné.
No. They're all reasonable answers. What do we care about?
Health.
No. I don't care about yesterday. I care about. Don't care about tomorrow.
Today.
These are
Today. Sounds like today. Someone give me the story for today. It's all there.
It's the same religious and do you mean today as in what you put on the board? Or are you looking external?
Dnes to, čo si dal na tabulu, alebo pozerať externe.
I asked, what does it sound like? And then I said, it sounds like today.
Pýtal, že ako to znie, a potom som
So give me a brief overview of why it is like today or sounds like today.
Again, try.
Why did you walk away? We do not need to know any Ellen White. Oh, sorry.
Dobre. No, správne.
I can try. So I see that in the world today, there are many people promoting health issues like secular, and
Dnes mnoho ľudí propaguje zdravotné záležitosti sekulárne.
and
Nothing to do with health.
no,
Nemá
Okay.
to dočinenia so zdravím.
I thought about health. It was my
Nothing to do with health.
okay.
Sorry. No? So going back to Paula. In the 19th century, we have this dynamic. We'll go back and expand on it in a second. When we did that, I'm saying that sounds very much like the dynamic we have today. There's a secular phenomena and there's a religious phenomena. So tell me what the model is today.
So the religious phenomena is like
So we're number one.
Číslo 1.
our movement or
Všetkým.
just in general religious.
I only speak when I point my
Okay.
finger because I can't hear. My translators are 2 seconds behind us. Now,
The religious phenomena, it's like our movement or
with the date,
Náboženský
the date
Daj mi dát
1989.
1989.
Okay, so our move. No,
next bit.
Naše hnutie, nie, ďalšia časť.
it's time of the end.
Časť konca.
Next
But,
bit.
but not for but yes, for Adventism again, not for our movement.
Pre naše hnutie.
And
1989
time of the end.
is the creation of this movement.
The creation, yes, okay.
Carry on. We haven't
The
finished.
second,
We haven't
this
finished
is
the
the
line.
no,
Neskončili.
want.
Is everybody okay so far? Number 2.
So we have a temperance movement going on, no, or not temperance, but
It's not health.
it's not health now, it's
Máme tu striedne hnutie, ktoré
Okay. We'll stop there. We'll come back to the first or to the 19th century. Number 1. What is number 1 interested in?
Second coming.
Are we translating? How does that? You got the second advent. So they're interested in the second advent. Are they interested in temperance work? No, they're not interested in temperance work. If we're going to do today, you have to do the same model. We're comparing the two. What's the temperance movement interested in?
Wydaje mi
Number two, the temperance movement.
się číslo 2, hnutí extrémnosti.
No? No, we haven't done number two. Here. Number two.
Health.
Health. Number one is interested in heaven. And number two is interested in the earth. There's no connection between the two. They're on different trajectories, paths. Are we okay with that reading of history? Sometime through the 19th century, we'll say halfway through, something changes. So the answer is one or two. Who changes? One. Shout out the numbers loud. I can't hear. Nobody? One? You said two. Two changes. Two changes. Put your hand up if you're number two. And you don't know what you're talking about. Ignore that one. Halfway through, what happens to number one? What happens to number one halfway through, Tamina? They realize they're not going to heaven. Their mission has failed. They're going to stay on. Not on, they're going to stay in the same place as number two. Tamina said we call all of that experience Laodicea. Are we okay with that reading? And now they say, what did they say? Number one. Someone else please say something. Monica, what did they say? To themselves. Who? What did they say?
Wtedy sami.
We have to take care of our bodies better.
Musimy teraz postarać lepsze o swoje ciała.
We will stay here longer.
Nie zostaniemy dłużej.
The second bit?
We will stay here longer.
Can France not repeat the statements twice, please? Because you're speaking over the English and I can't hear it. So when you translate it the first time, there's a 2-second lag between what you say and what we say. So when I tell them to repeat what they say, don't repeat it again because we go into a loop. if that's okay. Okay. So English. Don't, no, just English. It's been done
We-
before.
We are staying here longer.
Okay. We can translate that now. Thank you. Number one changes because their mission has failed. And they say, we're going to stay here a bit longer. We're all dying young. So we better get into the temperance work. Are we okay with that reading of history? And number two, never changed. We okay with that? Everybody put their hand up with number two. They don't change. Tamina? Yeah, just translate it.
Tamina said that they joined number 2.
Okay. Today, we have a movement that's religious. And its connection to number 2 is nothing. There is no connection. Yes? Okay. So tell me what number 2 is. Peter.
The vegan movement, they want to keep the animals safe.
I know it's tempting, but I did help. And what did I say, Paula?
No connection with our movement. No, not this.
No connection to diet. Number 2 is not about diet. In this guy.
About human relationships.
Peter.
Equality.
Human relationships, equality. Tamina?
Treat animals.
Ako sa správy.
In a moment. Carol?
Environment.
I'm just going to put climate change. Is that what you mean?
Basically, yes.
Human rights. Equality. Animals. Is that everybody so far? So far. Emma?
I'm sorry. Feminism, radical feminism,
Which one?
radical.
Over here, someone said. Oh, I thought you said. How you spell climate? Climate. Anyone else? Anyone else? Rachel, your question? It has to be in German because the Germans. Oh, okay. Go ahead. What's your question? Don't tell me what you understand, just your question. I know. Just tell me your question. I know it's difficult. Your question that you began with, is it related to morality? Everything is related to morality. They didn't make laws like that. It came, I think, in the century afterwards. At a federal level, at least. But it is moral. Any other points? What do we want to put here for number 2? All of that? Can I put equality, feminism, and LGBTQ rights under human rights? So I'm going to put human rights and climate. Are we okay with that? Pretty good. This is a secular. Halfway through? Who changes? The religious movement, number 1. Anybody want to ask a question or comment? So, yeah, no. Raquel made an important point. Just the one word that I want to pull out from her comment. Which was what? No. Yep.
Okay.
Wasn't morality. Wasn't alcohol. Yes, but I want a different word. What did they get interested in?
Earth.
Politics. They realize you can talk about any of these things and it makes no difference. We have human rights. We'll skip climate. I think it was Raquel. She used another word. What was that one? Follow through with the logic. Don't do random stuff. Do you remember? They're going to enter into politics. I'm not saying it's related to the temperance movement, but there's another phenomenon that connected to this. Suffrage. We won't call it the suffragette movement. What is suffrage? Sounds like suffering. But it's not really suffering. Someone spell it? Just one person. Go. Somebody. Suffrage. SUFF. Suffrage. What does suffrage mean? Simply vote. And vote is what? Politics. We okay? What do we keep on complaining about the 19th century? In 1844, what do we keep on complaining about? If you don't know, say I don't know. Don't know? No. No?
Kvůli tomu dočekovali.
That Millerites refused to vote.
Who was that? Oh, okay. You changed your mind. Oh, okay. So no, sir. Yeah, politics.
Everybody can vote. Health.
Okay. So we go back and we say the problem with all of these Adventists was they don't get involved in one of the most important elections, which was 1844. And then people say, number one was run by It's run by God. It's run by a woman. The problem with women is they don't want to be involved in politics. So, number two, they're going to try to get into politics. Then number one says, we will what? We'll join them and get into politics. Are we okay with that reading of history? Someone say something? I never asked if we were okay. I just said that's what we do. What political issue did we say we will now get into? Number one. What was the political issue? You can answer it two ways. No. That's not our story. This is not a Sabbath study.
Sorry?
Slavery.
It's not a slavery study. There's a hundred stories in the 19th century. And our question is about diet. What political issue are they saying we will get involved in?
Loss?
Prohibition.
Who's speaking? You go ahead. I didn't hear. I can't hear anything.
Prohibition laws.
Temperance. We okay with that? Monica said she gave the detail of it, but I just want to say temperance. So today, we say we're going to get into politics. And what political issue are we going to get involved in? Tamina? Tamina? This one, yes? You just said yes? So we're not getting involved in politics because we care about animals. We're getting involved in politics. You don't even need to read the newspaper. You just use methodology here. You repeat history. We're going to get involved in politics with respect to human rights and the climate. Is everybody okay with that? Rekha? All good? Sabina? I don't know. You shout it out and Monica will translate. I think.
They join politics and
Did you wait for her to translate? I can't respond.
It's on.
So I can translate. Wait a moment, you. Audição.
No, no one heard me?
No, it was on when I gave it to you. I told you it's on. I think you are doing it the other way around.
So is it on now or not?
She switched herself off.
So it's muted now?
No.
So
No, it's on now.
It's on now. So I'll repeat the whole thing. The Adventist movement, when it joined the temperance movement, it became Laodicea. If that is correct, what does that say us for us today?
Yeah, it's a good idea to wait for the speaker to finish before. Yeah, we prefer to tell the speaker's hair off for speaking too long. She already got told off before she even began. Okay, so does she need to repeat that? Okay, so I'm going to turn whatever Tamina said into a statement, so I'm not going to answer the question. I think she said, by following the temperance movement, we entered into Laodicea. Is that what you said? Okay. The rest of it was just repeat and enlarge. The point I want to show here, if you take the diet question, this little dot here, what you can see historically, and interestingly, prophetically, how we get involved in the health work. It's our connection to a secular movement. Adventists will tell you we got into health because Ellen White had some visions. I want to suggest we got into the health work because of the independent secular temperance movement. And I'm suggesting if we can see the 19th century or the alpha of modern Israel, in that light, in that model, sounds like today. And today, is this movement interested in health? No. What we're interested in is human rights and the environment. And we end up being interested in politics. Because that's what number 2 is interested in today.
Can I go? You might be going here, but you might not. But surely climate change has a massive impact on how we eat, because climate change and human rights is definitely connected to not consuming number 3, meat, because that has a great effect on the environment, climate, and human rights. Because whatever happens with climate,
Just
affects
carry on, they're
human-
not going to translate.
Oh,
for you.
yeah, I forgot.
Forgot, and it all fizzles out. Go ahead.
So climate change and human rights is definitely connected
Ľudské práva
to diet.
tou stravou.
Why do you feel you have to make that statement?
Si
Passionate about health, and I wasn't sure if you were going to connect it.
Because you're passionate about health. Everybody on number 2 here they were brainwashed to be passionate about what? Esther? You said the word, that's why I pointed to you. Tamina? It's one word. Slavery. It's got nothing to do with slavery. We could really easily get slavery into that. Or equality. But I said, don't do that. And when we have a passion about a subject, it will end up hurting us. Because you will lose your focus and the rigor, the strictness. And you read into things. Based upon your biases. And it's just a really bad way to study. Because you might be correct in your logic today, but you'll be wrong tomorrow. So I just advise you not to do that.
My point is, you can't disconnect human rights and climate change
What's your
to
point?
number 3.
Nobody fought number 2. You can't separate temperance from human rights. And I said, separate them for the purpose of this study. And we should be doing that today. It's not a diet issue. And to be honest, the vast majority of the world, including us, isn't really that worried about the climate. Just tag it on because it sounds nice. I don't want to label the issue because the Midnight Cry message was not about climate change, nor about diet. It was about human rights and how we get involved and understand what's happening in the world around us, which is called politics. Okay, so that wasn't meant to be an argument with people. It was meant to show that our experience today wasn't just some random thing that happens. That the change in our message didn't just happen. Because some radical feminist joined the movement and wanted to express her views. This is a prophetic phenomena. And what's the definition of prophecy?
With time.
Morality in time.
There's various definitions. And based upon today's study, that wouldn't be the right one. Anybody want to give another go?
Personal is political.
Osobné politici.
When you say as prophecy, through the ground, I can't remember how you say it.
Nepamätám si, ako si to povedal. Chodiť po...
I don't know, walking along the ground, in current time. I don't know the wording of it that else Parminder said.
When I just said it's not some random person that joined the movement. I said today sounds like yesterday. And what does sound like mean? One word. Repeat. I'm going to do a bad paraphrase. I was shown that prophecy is a figurative delineation of events leading it down to the end of Earth's history. Did that get good translated for you? Everybody good? Okay, so that's the definition of prophecy. So prophecy isn't just what's happening today, it's the events of the past that bring us to today. If we'd read history properly, if Elder Jeff had read history properly, which we worked out in a 45-minute discussion, when Elder Tess stood up and did all of her thing, all the people that have left, all the people that have remained and complain, all three of those groups would have realized, should now realize, that we're repeating history. And if we're repeating history in 2018, we could have seen prophecy being fulfilled. In a very specific way, using the rules that we've just spoken about. Let's pray. Holy God, we thank you that we have the privilege of understanding your thoughts. As we try to understand better the purpose of our existence, when it comes to the subject of diet, we see how it connects to the message that is dear to us. The great test, equality. In Jesus' name, amen.